What's up guys, Argenti or Diluc 2.0 is what I like to call him, is dropping very soon. I want to just talk about whether or not it would be wise to summon for him and just have a look at his full kit. But before that, please consider subscribing to the channel for more Honkai content and drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Alright, Argenti is shaping to be quite the powerhouse of a character. He is an erudition physical unit, so right off the bat we would expect him to deal a great number of AoE damage. Argenti will be able to use a more powerful ultimate by consuming more energy. The more targets Argenti hits, the more his crit rate increases and the more energy he regenerates. From that, I am expecting him to have the hardest hitting ult in the game. Now that is a massive statement considering we have monsters like Imbibes Lune and Jingliu in the game, but if that's going to be the main aspect of his kit, it would be safe to assume it's at least up there, if not the strongest. Now his traces. First one being, at the start of a turn, immediately gains a set number of apotheosis stacks, which is basically the crit rate stacks he gains. So that's definitely a great one as you're gaining additional crit rate and it's unconditional, so a great way to kick off the traces. The second one now is when enemy targets enter battle, immediately regenerates energy from himself. Now this of course is going to be an amazing trace, and if this guy has the strongest ult in the game, you'd expect the energy cost to be quite high, so an additional way to gain energy is a great trace for him. And finally, deals more damage to whose HP percentage is less than a certain amount. Now I swear if this is revealed to be below 50%, he is confirmed Diluc 2.0, because I know Diluc has a constellation or some passive that is literally the same thing, so the devs have definitely thought about that one. Okay, moving on to the juicier aspects of his kit now. Starting with his technique, after using it, enemies in a set range are inflicted with daze. Dazed enemies will not actively attack allies. When initiating combat against a dazed enemy upon entering battle, Argenti will deal physical damage to all enemies and regen a certain amount of energy. So you avoid combat in the overworld, which is nice, and you gain an additional way to obtain extra energy, which is amazing for him, as I'm starting to believe he will need as much energy as he can get really to charge up this ult to hit max potential. Moving on to Argenti's skill now. It's just a standard AoE attack, nothing special about it, but now his talent plays a role with his skill. His talent being for every enemy hit when Argenti uses a basic attack, skill or ultimate, regenerates Argenti's energy and grants him a set number of apotheosis stacks, increasing his crit rate, so every time you attack, essentially, you will increase his crit rate to a certain amount. So I'm guessing the longer the battle is drawn out, the more consistent he will be with his crits, so those last floors on MOC will definitely be where he shines, and I guess for most hard content in the game from now. And now finally the main aspect of his kit, the ultimate. Consumes more energy to deal physical damage to all enemies, also deals damage for a set number of additional times, dealing physical damage to a random enemy every time. Now I'm not too sure on what it means by consumes more energy. All ults kind of use all energy, so we will have to see in game how that exactly works. Of course, I expect this to be one hell of a nuke to all enemies, but now on top of that, he kind of deals a dot damage to enemies, being one enemy at a time randomly for a set number of turns. I'm really liking how that ult sounds. If it's more like an enhanced dot damage dealing ult, it would be nice to see a massive chunk being dealt to an enemy. However, I don't like the RNG aspect. There might be one enemy you really need to cut down, but the dot effect could hit someone already on death's door, let's say. So if you're lucky enough, you can clear a turn or two quicker. Just really depends on how much damage this quote-unquote dot effect does on a single enemy. Overall, I think Argenti is looking like a crazy nuker just from the overview of his kit. One plus side immediately for summoning on his banner is Hanya will also be on his banner, being the new 4-star. I don't think she's a must pull given she's a 4-star, but she also seems great too. So if you're going in deep for Argenti, you will have a good chance of pulling multiple idol onto Hanya also. So already the banner seems like great value as you're going to be pulling for the new 4-star along with Argenti. Whether or not you should actually summon for him, I think it's safe to assume he will be a great pickup if you are hunting for a DPS you need. If all goes according to plan, he should have a monstrous nuke of an ult, and so will be dealing enough damage to keep up with all the top DPS units. Of course, I know a lot of players will be summoning purely based on aesthetics since he is showing off that sort of image just to pull for his looks. But if you don't already have two strong DPS characters, he seems like a great pickup. If you already do, he doesn't seem like a must summon. He could definitely be depending on how strong that ult is, so we will have to have a closer look on his release at his numbers. As I always say, it really depends on your account, and if you want to summon for him for the sake of it, go for it. It's all about having fun at the end of the day, and if you want him, defo pull. I myself won't be pulling for him as I'm kind of content with my DPS characters being Kafka and Jing Liu, so I will be sitting this one out. However, I'm definitely intrigued on how his ult is going to pan out, since if it is going to be the strongest nuke in the game, it would be nice to see what kind of numbers he puts out. I might throw in a couple summons in there to see if I get lucky with Hanya, since she looks like a great support and the ult animation looks really good too. With Argenti overall, his animations look pretty good. He gives off the whole beauty night kind of thing, so I know a lot of people have kind of made up their mind in trying to summon for him already. But in terms of a damage dealer, he seems like a really solid damage dealer overall. But yeah, that's all for me on this one. If you guys are going to summon for him, best of luck of course. Do please consider subscribing to the channel for more Honkai content. Would really appreciate it. And if you did enjoy the video or found it informative at all, leave a like and just drop a comment on what you think about Argenti and if you're going to be pulling for him. And yeah, I hope to catch you guys later.